everyone, how's it going? So this is a little bit of an unplanned video, as you can probably tell by the fact that this is like a vlogging format, and also I'm not in my usual setup. So the first reason as to why that is because I'm currently visiting my parents' home, so I'm not in my London flat, and also I feel like this is a bit of an impromptu video that I really feel like I have to make, because if any of you guys are taking the UKCAT this year, you will know that time is of the essence. So I don't really want to have to wait until I go back to London to like film a fancier video. So I hope this vlog format will do. Also, bear with me because I'm not kidding. I literally woke up around 20 minutes ago and I just put some, lipstick on because, I want to look nice for you guys. I've got my trusty coffee, so I'm kind of slowly waking up, but let's just talk about the bulk of this video because I have some really important and, in my opinion, super useful things to share with you. Oh, this coffee is so good. Okay, right, I'm just going to rest my arm there as well because this camera's heavy. So as you've probably already seen by the title and or the thumbnail of this video, I want to share with you some really useful advice that I received regarding the UKCAT. Now, this piece of advice was sent in to me very unexpectedly by a lovely subscriber called Kirsty, who actually emailed me. And I feel like I would be doing everybody a disservice if I didn't come on here and share it. Excuse me. And Kirsty, if you're watching this, I know I already thanked you via email, but I just want to thank you again and say it was so kind of you to take the time to send me an email completely unexpectedly and just share your wisdom, and it's really been useful, so thank you. So I'm just going to start off by reading Kirsty's email and just talking through a little bit of the things that she mentions. And I've got my Mac here, so if I'm looking down, that's what I'm looking at. Hi Atousa. I did my UKCAT in 2015 and I am now going into my third year of undergraduate medicine. I got 762.5 and I just saw your latest video about the UKCAT. I definitely agree with your friend about 2 weeks of practice being enough or you'll peak too soon. That's something that I mentioned in my other video that someone had told me this. But 3 weeks of study with only help, I'm sure. And Medify is the best thing to use. Just be sure to practice doing the maths questions with an on-screen calculator and not a physical one, because that is just what it's like in the exam. Practice everything timed. That is such good advice because I don't take it, even though lots of people have told me. Practice everything timed. In brackets, there is no point doing it untimed really. And keep a log of your scores by each section, e.g. QR, AR, etc. And your overall average each day you practice. That is also a very good idea because up until this point I wouldn't really be keeping scores of anything. I would either rely on Medify to kind of do it for me, even though I wouldn't use Medify every day. Sometimes I would use the book. And even when I did use the book, again, I wouldn't really be timing it, so I wouldn't really be keeping score because the book that I use is this one. I will put a picture of what I was using. And with that one, I don't know, it's essentially a big bank of questions. It doesn't really prompt you to time questions. So yeah, as she was saying, and keep an average of your score every day. That will help motivate you and you can identify what section is your weakest. And then, in brackets, and this is very useful, she's put, the Kaplan book below has a score converter, which I would trust most. Here is one that I found online. So I will link that below, and essentially it is, as she said, a score converter. So you can say, okay, well, I've got like 7 out of 10 correct. Let's have a look at this chart to see what that equates to. And you could say, well, 7 out of 10 could be like 710 points in the actual exam. Next, and again, I really encourage you guys to take this advice if you haven't already, because it really helped me. She said this book, and it's a Kaplan book, I will link it below, is much better than the blue UKCAT book, the one that I just mentioned. I found the questions in that blue book were too hard and not realistic, and that's also something I've mentioned as well in my videos. So yeah, I found the questions were too hard and not realistic, and plus the Kaplan book actually teaches you how to approach each type of question. I would recommend using your first week to go through the Kaplan book and make notes and learn, and then spend the other 2 weeks doing 1 to 2 hours of practice on Medify every day. Oh my god, I can't tell you how good this Kaplan book is. I feel like for some people who are a little bit more accustomed to doing UKCAT style questions, maybe the blue harder book would be better suited to them. But for somebody like me who's pretty much a complete beginner, the Kaplan book literally holds your hand for like The first however many pages teaches you everything step by step, teaches you the tips and tricks, and I can't praise it enough, honestly. So I will leave that below, and I think a week to about 2 weeks, if you work like really at it, should probably be enough for you to get through the majority of the book. And also, I think I definitely agree with what she said about Medify too, because when you get used to using a book format, you might do yourself a bit of a disservice by getting used to pen and paper, and the actual test is in fact taken on a computer. So I think switching to Medify in the final week is a really, really good tip. Going back to the email, finally do the UKCAT official practice tests. I'll link those below. I would do one halfway through the 3 week, so halfway through week 2, and one at the end of week 2, and one a day or two before your actual exams. These are the gold standard practice. That's also very true. I haven't taken one yet, but I feel like I might take one in the next few days, and I think there's 3 of them available, so I might take one in the next few days. My battery's about to run out. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Where was I? So going back to Kirsty's email. The morning of the exam, also make sure you do a few UKCAT practice questions from each section, because you really need to be in the zone to do well. I also think that's a very good advice, because sometimes you think, well, in the morning I don't want to do any because it might make me panic more, but I think she's absolutely right. You need to be in like the mindset of UKCAT. I found I was able to stay relatively calm during the exam, which also massively helped because I had such a long list of my average scores over the 2 weeks that I had been practicing, so I could tell myself that I was prepared. I really hope that you do that too, and also buy the Kaplan book. Lots of exclamation marks. Kirsty, I have, and you are so amazing for recommending it. And finally, she says, if you have any other questions, feel free to email me. I study undergrad at Birmingham, but the graduate courses merges with ours after year 1, so I could probably help you out with any questions. Such a lovely email, and so unexpected, as I said, and full of just such golden nuggets of information. So guys, please take some of that in and absorb it and digest it. Now, at the time where Kirsty messaged me, I was in a little bit of a panic, and if any of my friends are watching this, you would know, because I probably texted all of you guys being like, oh my god, like UKCAT. So actually, since I made my last video, I have extended my exam by, I think, an extra week. I just felt like, since I bought the Kaplan book, I put myself back a bit because I was practicing like a method that wasn't really suiting me. So I have extended my deadline for about, I think, 7 to 10 days, something like that. And anyway, but when I replied to Kirsty, I hadn't extended it yet, and this was my reply. Hi Kirsty, thank you so much for your email. It really means a lot, and it's honestly so informative. Firstly, I would like to say congrats on your score. You did incredibly well, and I really hope you wouldn't mind answering a few questions, as I would be super grateful. So I'm just quite worried because whenever I do any timed questions, usually the 10-minute quick fire rounds on Medify, I tend to get quite low scores, which makes me panic and makes me want to study even less. Yeah, I have this bad habit of like, if something's like making me mentally suffer, I just kind of like run away and like go like in a little corner and be like, no, like I don't care, I don't want to do anything, which is what I did last year, and I'm not gonna do that this year, damn it. Secondly, how many hours did you spend doing the Kaplan book? I'm working full-time at the moment, and I'm putting myself under a huge amount of pressure to work on UKCAT, which again makes me panic even more. True. Trying to find a good block of time to study either before work or after work when I'm tired is quite difficult, but I think I just need to push and make sure that I just get it done. Maybe I can say the same for you guys if you guys are also working or busy or whatever. And finally, do you genuinely believe that with 2 weeks of practice anybody can do well? Because sometimes I think that despite other things that I do well at, as in outside of UKCAT, the UKCAT type test is not something that I am... Oh, sorry, let me repeat that. Despite other things that I do well, UKCAT type tests is not one of them, as I feel like I just don't have the mind for it. I do feel like that sometimes. I feel like some people have a logical mind and maybe I just don't. And I said maybe that's the anxiety talking, but I'm genuinely intrigued to hear about your views. And once again, she very kindly and very helpfully answered with the following. Hi Atousa, no worries about the email. I found your studying tips and motivation type videos very useful during my exam period this year, so I'm happy to offer some help in the return. Smiley face. I'm glad they helped you When I did my UKCAT, I only had 2 weeks to prepare because I spent most of that school summer holiday on a scouting trip in Japan. Amazing, by the way. And I had 2 weeks upon my return until year 13 started, and I watched the UKCAT, and I wanted the UKCAT done before school. Very wise. The first week I spent doing work experience and just doing UKCAT in the evening, and then the second week I was free all day, so I probably did 3 to 4 hours a day. But I can't totally remember, so it might have been less in reality. Are you also getting low scores when you work untimed, and what do you mean by low? How many out of 10 would be correct? Using the conversion tool I sent you earlier to get a score of 700 in each section, you need about 7 out of 10 correct. So when you realize that 7 out of 10 is the goal, getting 5 out of 10 isn't so far off. I would say it might be a good plan to take a step back from timing and use the Kaplan book to improve your technique. And then once you've done that for each section, then go back to the fully timed questions. That's also very good advice. I feel a lot less calm generally since doing the Kaplan, because sometimes, as I said, if I found a question very difficult, I would just avoid it. But now I feel a little bit more brave about tackling it since the Kaplan book has been so good in, you know, slowly talking you through everything. So maybe this week, use the book on one day to make notes and learn all of the techniques, work through all the examples in the Kaplan book, and then in the next night, do Medify practice and only work on that section. And just do that until you've covered all 4 sections in depth, and then start putting them together in your practice. Yeah, I think that's also a very good way to kind of just build up and ease yourself into it. If I remember right, the Kaplan book was quite easy to read. It is. It was well written, and a lot of the pages were example questions, so it was not as thick as it seemed when it first arrived. I think I spent my work experience week working on the Kaplan book and then Medify practice for the second week. In terms of if anybody can do well, I think different people have different peaks that they can reach, and I do think I got lucky to some extent with mine, but I definitely think everybody can score around 700 with enough practice, and for most people that's around 2 weeks. That's really, really encouraging to hear. I mean, whether that's the case for me personally or for you personally if you're taking a UKCAT, I don't know, but I think regardless of that, it's very encouraging to hear that, especially from somebody who did so well. Remember that if I can do it, so can you. Take that attitude that you want to reach the highest possible score you can, and that will be enough to get you an interview. Good luck, Kirsty. Yes, so again, you can see that she gives some incredibly good advice, and thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So as I said, I have extended my exam by around 7 to 10 days, I can't remember exactly how many, and I also extended my Medify by around a week and a bit as well, because that would have run out at the time when I was having my exam. Actually, speaking of Medify, I do want to give them a little bit of a shout out, because after my last video where I mentioned them, in the video that I was making all about the UKCAT, I received an email from a member of the team called Lucy, who very kindly offered to reimburse me the cost that I spent buying a subscription as kind of an act of goodwill because I gave them a mention in my video. Now, I have to say that is amazing customer service, and I always appreciate any company that puts in human effort when it comes to like advertising and marketing, because I know with a lot of other companies you get like an automated like email sent to like hundreds of other people. So I think that was just incredible of Medify to do that. It was such a small act of goodwill, but I very much appreciate it, and I just want to share that with anybody else who's watching as well. So yes, thank you, Medify. And one more thing that I should mention is that I have a few Study With Me UKCAT videos. These videos are kind of experimental. I've never really seen them being done on YouTube, especially with the UKCAT, but I'm just going to put them out, and I trust that you guys will let me know if you like them or not. And if you do, then there's always room for me to make more in the future. And finally, guys, finally, I have decided to up my social media game, and I'm making a conscious effort to post more on Instagram for starters, and finally, I've got Instagram. Not Instagram, Snapchat. Oh my god, I've got Snapchat. So recently, I have made friends with a super cool dude, YouTuber and medic, Kenji, whose channel I will put below. And he has been encouraging me to kind of up my social media game and get Snapchat and be a little bit more interactive with you guys, so I'm giving it a go. I'm a little bit of a grandma when it comes to like tech and social media, just because I kind of like to live under a rock. But I'm actually really excited about this. Like, I've not used Snapchat for like the longest time, and I'm really excited to kind of interact with you guys more, because I feel like I don't know you guys that well, because obviously not everybody who watches the video comments. So Snapchat will be linked below, Instagram will be linked below. I'm always on YouTube, I'm always on email. Send me messages or whatever if you need help with anything. And yes, I think that will be everything for this video. Sorry it's a little bit long, but I hope you found it informative, and please give it a thumbs up if you did enjoy it. Make sure to subscribe if you aren't already, hit the little bell icon, and until next time, take care, and I'll see you later.